Hola, hola, buenos dias. Hi, everybody. I am Chereese La-Vonne. I'm a public speaking coach for change makers. And this is day one of Well at Work, which is a 4-day online webinar where I'm talking about some wellness challenges or issues that we may face as Black and Caribbean women in the workplace. Today, we're talking about emotional regulation in the workplace. Tomorrow, which is September 3rd, we're going to be talking about boundaries. The next day, September 4th, we're going to be talking about, let me check my notes, authenticity. How do you advance in your career without leaving yourself behind? And on the final day, September 5th, we're going to talk about being black to black at work and basically how you can show up and what you need to know about existing in whitewashed spaces as a Black or Caribbean woman in corporate America. Before we get into today, which is emotional regulation in the workplace, I want to say to you a little bit why I am very much interested in working with Black and Caribbean women. I think one of the challenges that we may have as Black and Caribbean women is that we may not have been taught how to manage our emotions. I know certainly for me, growing up in an extremely religious household, I was taught to ignore my feelings. I was taught that my feelings would lead me astray. Maybe for you, you heard something like, we don't have the luxury of emotions. We just need to work hard. You need to study a book and work hard. I'm from Jamaica, by the way. I would love to know in the chat or in comments where you all are from. But you don't have the luxury of emotions, maybe from your immigrant parents who came to the US to work hard and to really try to give you a better life. They very much did not feel like they had the luxury of emotions, of showing their emotions. And so you just have to stuff it down. But as we have been learning in online education, the idea of emotional regulation and being in touch with our emotions is something that we understand that we need to actually deal with. So, how do we deal with it in the workplace? I do also want to say that part of the reason why I specifically serve Black and Caribbean women is regardless of what other races want to tell us, the history of slavery still has an impact on us and our realities, regardless of what we want to say. For me, in my case, as a queer woman, it means that my family has completely ostracized me because the whitewashing of culture has completely erased the indigenous awareness of queer realities. For you, it may be that in your family, people always asking you, when you're going to do your hair, why, you're having basically this need to either cover your hair, straighten your hair, anything but your natural hair is good. And now I do want to say we have the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want with our hair, and I love it for us. But at the same time, we have to question where some of these things come from. Is it from a place of shame? Is it from a place of denying who we are? And these small little things may feel insidious, but truly they actually can have an impact that is reflected in bigger issues in the workplace. I know for me, one of the things that happened when I was living in Chicago, and I just a little bit of history, I grew up in Jamaica, like born and raised all up to my 20s. I did live in Trinidad for a little while in my teens as well. But at about 25, I moved to Chicago to do a master's degree in designed objects. And after my master's degree, I started developing a business and I was a part of an incubator in Chicago. Now, at this incubator was the very first time that I was confronted with people not being able to truly see who I was because I was a Black woman. Now, you have to remember or understand, I'm from Jamaica, all the way Black, right? I'm used to talking. My parents were pastors, so that meant that I was always saying something in church, in Sunday school, whatever. Like I've always been on the stage since I can remember. I don't have an issue with expressing myself, or I don't have any qualms about expressing myself. But something very curious would happen when I was in this space of fellow entrepreneurs. I remember very specifically, I was in a roundtable meeting once with other entrepreneurs at this place called M Hub in Chicago. Absolutely love that place, by the way. It's M Hub for Manufacturing Hub, and it's basically space for you to grow as an entrepreneur, but especially entrepreneurs who needed to build things like prototypes. And at the time, I was doing some sort of furniture, designed object based stuff, so it was a heaven for me. But anyways, we were at this round table. It was just me and maybe like four other white men, which I didn't really notice per se they were white men until at the end of the meeting, I could realize that every time I spoke, it was like their eyes glossed over, like they couldn't hear anything I said. And I'm no seminar dunce. I know I wasn't saying foolishness. I know I was saying things of value, but it's like they couldn't hear it. They never responded to what I said. They simply just switched to another person. And that's when it started clicking to me that, oh my gosh, there's something here in the water in America that makes me less of a person to these people. They don't even see me. And so that was sort of the beginning of me specifically wanting to serve people, women, Black women, and Caribbean women in corporate America, because I have also worked in a corporate space and understood that some of the limitations that are put on us are external, but some of them are also internal and cultural. So, for example, if you grew up in a cultural context that tell you enough up yourself, enough up yourself, don't be too enough, don't try too much, don't push yourself beyond a certain level because maybe I could get in trouble with massa or whatever it is. Again, this is where it's coming from, right? It's trickled down through generations from that history. Then you may very well be less likely to position yourself for promotions, less likely to position yourself for advances, for raises in your company. I've seen that with myself, where I've been in a company that I was working with. I was working with them remotely when I was living in Tulum, but we had like a little base in Tulum, but it was an American company. And I would see my peers of different races, we're just going to call them that, who were way less qualified than me, positioning themselves to head departments and to get raises. And for me, it was almost like, why would you even do that? You haven't even been here for a week. But what I realized, and my boss was actually considering it. And so what I realized was there was a difference culturally in the level of audacity that I even thought I had a claim to. And here's the thing, as Black and Caribbean women, the audacity that we do have claim to more often than not is actually backed up by true intelligence, skill, and experience. So as a public speaking, communication, and confidence coach, that is why I serve you and why I love to serve you. All right, let's talk about what we're going to get into today. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about what emotional regulation is, what it isn't. We're going to talk about how you can allow your emotions to actually improve your experiences at work, how you can translate challenging emotions into productive experiences, and how you can also require more of your workspace in order to be more satisfied in the workplace. And when I say satisfied, what I imagine, and you can determine what your satisfaction is, but what I imagine is that you are recognized for the value that you bring, meaning you are recognized not just in words and, oh, good job, you're recognized in your money, okay? That you are given the positions that actually can show your skills and your talents are appropriately used. So you're not wasting time on things that either are not your particular skill or don't interest you or are a waste of time. And you also are on the list to be promoted. No, a lot of this has to do with how you show up in the space. I will not ignore the very real challenges that we have based on racial bias. Absolutely not ignoring that at all. But also, what responsibility can we take to show up as best as possible in these corporate spaces? So, we're going to talk about that today. Now, before we get into all of that, let me just tell you a little bit more about who I am. I told you about some of my experience and why I love serving you as a Black and Caribbean woman, because I am a Black and Caribbean woman. But who I am, this is how I would define myself. I would say I am wild, and I am also wise. I move multidimensionally through time. I'm not one of those people who only cares about future advancements. I'm also very much interested in understanding ancient technology. What this means is, as much as my intellect advances, I will never leave my body or my emotions or my well being behind. I believe that success is only worthy if it is a sustainable success, which means all parts of me are advancing. I am quite willing to move a little bit slower, or to move in a way that may be perceived slower in one direction, in order to make sure that I am expanding in a way that does not leave one part of me behind. Okay. And I have some values that I want to share with you. And if you have pen and paper, or you don't have pen and paper, I would encourage you to grab some right now, because there are 5 values that lead what I do as a coach. And if you're going to be able to receive any of the value that I have to share with you today, you may need to adopt these even temporarily. So, what I'm going to encourage is, I'm also just blabbering a little bit while you grab your pen and paper. What I'm going to encourage is that you write these down. You make a commitment to, for the next 30, 40 minutes that we're here together, that you will pretend that these are true. Afterwards, if they don't serve you, dash them away. You can throw it in the garbage, okay? If they don't serve you afterwards, throw it away. That's totally fine. Give me a second. I need to get out the tissue. So I live in Mexico City, and it's very true what the natives say, that in Mexico City, you experience 4 climates in one day. It's winter in the early morning, then it becomes spring, then it's hot AF in the middle of the day, and then there's fall in the afternoon. And so my poor little body is still managing the temperatures. So I have a little bit of some sniffles as my body figures out what to do with the temperature changes. So I may need to pause for that every now and then, but I hope you'll bear with me, because I am human after all. Okay, so here are the 5 principles. Number 1, I believe that you are not put on this earth just to work. I am not put on this earth just to work. I know we're talking about how to be well at work, but this is a foundational principle for what I'm going to share today. Write it down. I am not put on earth just to work. For me, and so that's number 1, and I'll go in a little bit more into that. Number 2, nobody no more than me. Nobody no more than me. That's in Jamaican patois. If you want it in English, it's no one is above me. Okay, so that's number 2. No one is above me. Number 2. Number 3, true success is impossible if I deny parts of myself. True success is impossible if I deny parts of myself. That's my 3rd foundational belief. Number 4, I am not here to be a part of the status quo. I shift shit. I am not here to be a part of the status quo. I shift shit. Number 5, the supernatural is my normal. The supernatural is my normal. Let's break those down a little bit, right? So the first one, you're not put on earth just to work. I'm not put on earth just to work. I believe that we are human beings, not human doings. We are here more for how we are meant to be than what we are here to do. The doings are informed by the beings. Okay? So if you do choose, and let me give you an example. For me personally, my being is freedom. That's my being. I know that. My being is to challenge individual freedom. How free can I be on planet Earth? And when I say free, how much autonomy can I exercise over my own life and my life experience? That's my being. So whether or not I was a public speaking coach, whether or not I was a stripper, whether or not I was an actress or a car mechanic, that essence is going to come out no matter what. And so when you're able to connect to who you are here to be, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to make decisions about how you do what you do at work and otherwise. Number two, one second. Sniffles, allergies. Number two, nobody no more than me. No one has greater value than me. No one is above me. Now, I understand that in the work context, it's important to have rank for organizational sake, right? There are roles that we each play. I completely agree with that. We choose to organize ourselves in particular roles so that we can get the job done as efficiently as possible. Yes. However, when it comes to the core essence of the value of my life, the value of my intentions, and the value of what's important to me, someone else's important is not more important than my important. And my important is not more important than theirs either. We have to figure out how we're going to find a way for those importances to coexist. Okay. And I say this because a lot of the things that I've seen with my clients is they will come to me saying, Chereese, I want to do better at presentations at work. Excuse me. I want to do better at presentations at work. I don't know how to show up. And a lot of the times, what happens is there's this innate fear of authority. Listen, nobody would have no authority over me. No one has authority over me. Nobody. 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 Do you understand what I say? So, one of the things that I have to work on with my clients is saying, listen, like, you have authority over you. You are as much a child of God, the universe, destiny, whatever you want to call it, as anyone else. No one has authority over you. Now, there may be particular ways that you and someone work or play together to get things done. But this deep fear of someone, castigating you or punishing you, it's, again, I believe it's one of those relics from a time of enslavement that we can challenge now. Okay. Number three was true success is impossible if I deny parts of myself. No, this is just a core belief I have. As I have been living in Mexico for the past 5 years, and I don't know if I mentioned the story exactly to how I came to Mexico, but basically, I was in an incubator. I was in an incubator in Chicago for my business. I was struggling because the way that we were being taught to do business felt, as I would put it, very white man capitalist. And the way I wanted to do business was very soul led woman. So I felt like there was a tension that I was feeling. And not luckily, but at that time, the pandemic came, which interrupted the incubator and gave me the opportunity to very gracefully exit and start questioning, okay, if the world is supposedly ending, because let's be honest, that's what it felt like, I want to show up as the most authentic version of myself. And so in that moment, I decided to come out as queer to my family, which created a whole lot of drama. I moved to Mexico with my girlfriend at the time. It was just supposed to be for a couple of months as a sort of soul sabbatical to discover myself and feel who I am. But I've been here for 5 years now, and I'm now a resident. Thank you to Mexico. I really appreciate that. And one of the things that has happened as I've been here is I've had the opportunity to study, to practice, to experience knowledge with shamans, with healers, with coaches of quantum principles, of earth principles, of cosmic principles. And the thing that I have learned that I now live by is that I am not simply just my body. I am a quantum being. I am my mind, I am my emotions, I am my spirit, I am my energy, and my body. And all of those together, when they're in alignment, is what equals success. And I don't just say that as a thing to say, I say that from my actual experience. I'm able to manifest the best experiences for myself when my mind, my emotion, my heart, my spirit, my body, and my energy are all aligned. So for me, success is not success if it ignores one part of my being. So that's why that principle is there, okay? The third one is gonna be I'm trying to see where I can see how much time I'm doing because I feel like I am taking a long time. Oh, we've been 20 minutes already and we still don't get into the meat of the matter. We soon reach. These are foundational principles. I won't go over this tomorrow. So hold these for tomorrow. Number four is you're not here for the status quo. You shift shit. Now, this kind of goes back to you're not just the first one, which is you're not just here to work. But if you'll see on my video, I actually have I'm a public speaking coach for change makers. The people that I love working with are the people who understand that they have an impact on culture. And it doesn't have to be that you're on TV or on radio or on podcasts. It literally can just be the way you show up in your friendships, in your community, in your family. But when you understand that your very existence has an impact on all of existence and you take responsibility for that, that's going to make a difference again in how you show up at work. And so that's another thing that I want you to believe and understand. You are not under anyone. And in fact, you are here to shift things. Now, we will talk about using wisdom with that because it's not always safe to make a ruckus. So we will figure out how to be as wise as a serpent but harmless as a dove in what we do, but we're still going to do it. You understand? We still know that we're here to change the environment. And then the fifth one is the supernatural is my new normal, is my normal. I walk with God. What can I say? I walk with my ancestors. What can I say? I'm not afraid of nobody. Come and know who they're with me. You understand? And when you have that understanding, when you know that you walk with God, angels, ancestors, guides, universe, it changes the way you show up in the world. So that's also something that I would love for you to adopt as we continue today. Okay, perfect. Now, let's get into the information. But one more thing before we do, I want to encourage you if you feel aligned with what I'm sharing today and you have curiosity about working with me one on one, I currently have 6 spaces available for September. You can book a call using the link that should be below this video, or look at the link in my bio on LinkedIn or on YouTube or wherever you're seeing this. But that link is going to be bit.ly/30 minutes with Chereese, bit.ly/30 minutes with Chereese, but it should also be below. Okay. So I'm going to encourage you to grab one so that we can have a little chat about how I can serve you. All right. Let's get into it. First part, what is emotional regulation and what is it not? Now, we know that emotional regulation is a trendy topic right now, but it's often misunderstood. From my understanding and my readings, emotional regulation is not that you never get triggered. It's that you know how to come back to a base level within a reasonable amount of time once you are triggered. So you get sad, you process, and you come back to a certain level of ease. Happy, same thing. Angry, same thing, right? And this matters because your emotions affect everything. Your emotions affect what you can give and what you can receive at work. If you are flooded with a lot of challenging emotions, it's going to be very hard for you to receive instructions. If you are flooded with challenging emotions, it's going to be very hard for you to work as a fair team player. So if you want to be good, if you want to operate well in the workplace, you're going to need to know how to manage your emotions. And we're going to talk about what each emotion indicates and how you can transform it to have more productive results. The emotions that you have impact the people around you because we are emotional beings. I want you to think about this. Tell me if this is true or not. Every single thing that we do is motivated either by emotions we want to feel or emotions we want to avoid. Everything. Everything. Right? The money you want to make is because you want to feel a certain level of accomplishment, happiness, peace, joy. The ex-partner you want to break up with is because you want to avoid the stress, the annoyance, whatever. Right? So everything we do is emotionally motivated. We are emotional creatures. And many of us, as I mentioned before, we weren't necessarily taught how to manage our emotions. What I want to say about this is we were actually often taught to just, like actually in Jamaica, we say, don't worry about nothing, just feel good, right? And I remember I put as the subtitle for today, how to feel good in a space designed to ignore your needs. Now, I do want to say I was being a little bit cheeky with that because I put feel good in quotations. And I want us to change feeling good from feeling happy to feeling good, as in being good at feeling. Okay? So I did a little kind of tricky thing there. I want you to practice feeling good, meaning that you're good at feeling. You're good at feeling all of it, all of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. You're good at feeling all of it. I want us to reclaim our emotions as wisdom. Our emotions are not just something that we need to avoid. And I can't help but think of, historic ideas of women being hysterical that would put them in mental health facilities, or the ways that we've been disconnected from our menstrual cycle so that we think it's a curse. Listen, your menstrual cycle is not a curse, baby. It's such a beautiful technology, but we're not going to go into that today. I might do a bonus session on that, but I need some confirmation if that's something that you want. Emotions are wisdom. So let's talk about what specific emotions might be telling you about what matters to you. You may have heard this before, but if not, well, I'm happy to deliver the information. And you can go search this yourself or even just experiment with it yourself. Anger. Anger tells you where your boundaries have been crossed. Tell me that's not valuable information. If you're angry about something, it means say you need to check your boundaries. Sadness. Sadness tells you that something's important to you. Otherwise, why would you be sad? If it didn't matter, you would feel nothing. It would be neutral. Apathy. Apathy tells you that you're lacking creativity. You're not feeling creatively stimulated. You need some more, something for kind of ignite your fire, right? That's what apathy tells you. Loneliness. Loneliness tells you that you need connection. And I find it so interesting. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and she said, our society has set us up for loneliness and then pathologized it. And it's so true. Loneliness just means that you need connection. Shame. Shame is an opportunity to give yourself compassion. Resentment. Resentment, close to anger, but resentment also means that there's something unresolved, right? So you haven't yet resolved it, either with yourself or with someone else. Anxiety. Anxiety means that you're struggling to live in the present. You're kind of going out into the future. Stress. Stress means that you're trying to do too much at one time and you need to take it one step at a time, baby. That's what stress means. What's right in front of you? Right here. This morning, it's so interesting. So I made the notes for this very early this morning, and the stress one was immediately put to the test because as I was writing the notes, I suddenly saw that my internet connection was not working. Now, me start stress out same time because I said, Lord of mercy, I have my fancy webinar that I go do. I also have some client calls this afternoon that are very important to me. How am I going to do this? Why the internet have to go down now? Let me tell you how I stress, I can't even tell you. But as stressed as I was, and I really was, I decided, all right, Cher, well, it have to go start out some way, but right now what you need to do? Right now you need to go for your run because that's a part of your morning. Cool. Right now what you need to do? Right now you need to eat your eggs and your cinnamon bread and your fruits. All right, cool. Right now you need to bathe your body. Right now you need to do your makeup. Right now you need to get ready. And by the time I got to getting ready, I thought, let me text my landlord and ask her if she changed the password. Lo and behold, not only did she change the password, she actually upgraded the internet because usually I actually have an issue with the connection strength. So it's actually better. But I found it so curious how I was writing my notes about stress, meaning you need to take it one step at a time. And that's literally just how I managed my stress this morning because I really was a little bit worried. How am I going to pull this off? I would have to find a new place to go and all sorts of things. But I took it one step at a time. And in doing so, it eventually resolved itself. Frustration. Frustration means that there's something that's not expressed. Okay? So these are what your emotions tell you. But how can you, if you're not used to managing, processing, feeling your emotions, get more in touch with them? Well, here's what I do. There was actually one time where I used to, I had to stop journaling because I was intellectualizing my emotions more than I was feeling them. You may have heard of somatic experiencing. And somatic experiencing, from my understanding, is the idea of like actually sensing the emotion in your body and like that being okay. And when it's not, when that's something that you're not used to doing, that can be very challenging. That can be extremely challenging. It can actually be very scary. And in that case, I would suggest some therapy. I think that would be good for you. But also try to read up and practice how to allow yourself to tolerate more emotions in your body because there's a panic that can happen. And depending on your mental health, you may need support or you may be able to hold that space for yourself. Over time, I've learned how to hold space for emotions that feel absolutely terrifying. But the thing is, those emotions, when you allow them to come through, they come with information and they often come with solutions. So, one of the things that I love to do is this is in my private space with me. I would like to journal. I do know, but the way I journal is more of a stream of consciousness journaling. So it's a brain dump journaling. I'm not thinking, but just I move my hand and whatever want to come out in that moment, it comes out, right? And I'll try to do like three pages. And this is something that I adopted from The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. Morning pages. That's one. Two, I found that moving my body gets stuff out. So usually when I go for a walk, I will walk and talk, and I really don't care if I look like a mad person on the road. Me no business, me look like a mad woman. I will walk and I'll talk out loud, either cussing off whoever I need to cuss off, or talking to God, to my angels, to my ancestors. But that movement in conjunction with my expression gives me that release and I can sort of sort through my emotions that way. So I'll say, all right, so why you feel this way? What am do make you feel this way? Okay, if you feel this way, what does that mean about what matters to you? All right, cool. Based on what matters to you, how can you respond in this specific situation? Right? All of that. But you feel it, you have to feel it, right? Another thing that I do is I shake or I move the emotion through my body, right? So if I'm angry, and I've done this with a client on call once, and I don't think she got very scared, but no, actually I think she was impressed because she could see that I allowed myself to feel it. Yo, if I'm vex, I'll get the pillow and I'll like hit it on the bed or may I thump the pillow, right? If I'm just like feeling anxious, I'll just like shake shit out. Right? Whatever it is, like I get myself moving. Sometimes I'll put on a playlist that encourages me to come into a more intuitive space and I'll just move and I don't care what my face look like. I don't care what my body look like. This is in my safe space, right? This is what I do in my home. Now, we're talking about emotional regulation at work though, because there are situations that happen at work. First of all, I want to say emotional regulation at work starts outside of work. And two, I want you to consider emotional regulation like the opportunity to really be with your emotions, sort of like taking a shit. Everybody knows that everybody shits, but we don't do it with the door open. And we don't need to do it with the door open. So if there is a moment in time where you are feeling overwhelmed, where you are feeling a lot of emotion, you can excuse yourself just like you excuse yourself to take a pee, to take a shit. Okay? You can excuse yourself. You can go to your car. You can go to the stairwell. You can go to the elevator. You can go wherever. Take the time you need to be with yourself, hold yourself, love yourself, because the fact of the matter is, not everybody deserves that vulnerability. That is very true. Not everybody deserves that vulnerability. Not just that, it's not just not safe, but it's also not necessarily necessary for people to see that process, because that process is a very personal process to you. How something affects you emotionally is about you and what matters to you. And a lot of times, what can happen is if we invite people too early into that process, it just creates a lot of confusion that is not necessary. Like, I know which friends are safe to cry in front of and which not. You see the friends who try to get me to stop crying to try to figure out my problems too quick, me can't cry in front of you. Nope, can't do it. Because I need to let the process happen. And you are trying to resolve the process so quickly that you're interrupting my innate process. So, emotionally regulating at work, as much as it is at work, is still a very personal process. And so, how can you find the space you need if you're ever at such a place of overwhelm that you need to take some time to yourself? I remember I've been in places I'm gonna go hide in the cleaning closet, right? Whatever you need to do, take your space. And then once you've taken your space and you've determined what matters to you, here's what we're going to continue to do. So we're going to move on to how we can actually practically create productive results from our emotional experiences at work. But before we go into that, I want to just remind you of who I am in case you're just joining. Well, you can read it on the screen. My name is Chereese La-Vonne. I'm a public speaking coach for change makers, and specifically right now, I love focusing on Black and Caribbean women in corporate America. I support you with showing up in a way that communicates your value, where you're confident, and where you're able to take advantage of promotion possibilities, raise possibilities, and really just showing up as your best self without losing your shine. I want to remind you that if you would like to work one-on-one with me, I have 6 spots available for September. There is a link below this video, I'm sure that you can see, but also you can go to bit.ly/30 minutes with Chereese. That's the number 30 with CHEREESE, bit.ly/30 minutes with Chereese to book some time on my calendar so I can share my offers with you. I only have 6 spaces for September, so book some time so we can talk, okay? All right. Now, let's go into the final part of our session. Once you are able to determine what your emotions are telling you, how can you translate it into something productive in the workplace? I want to give you a case study. So, I had a client who is a marketing executive in Detroit. She was feeling overextended because the team that she was on was responsible for hosting brand events for their clients. And she would find that in a day, she had to attend 2 or 3 brand events, sometimes on different sides of Detroit. She's driving back and forth, overextended, not feeling like she's able to give her best. Ultimately, she's very frustrated. What does frustration tell us? Frustration tells us that there's something that is not being expressed. So we got clear on what it is that she would have liked to express. And we were able to come up with a persuasive email to send to her team lead to say, hey, I love the team. I'm here for the team. I love what we're doing for our clients. And I'm sure, like me, you want the best result for our clients. What I've noticed is that we have an opportunity to improve our results for our clients by being wiser with the scheduling of events. ... Right? What was something that she had originally felt a little bit anxious about, overwhelmed? She wasn't going to say anything. She just stress out. We were able to actually find a solution that shifted shit. Because remember, one of my foundational beliefs, you're not here just to be a part of the status quo. You're not here just to suffer under the way things are, under the culture as it is. You get to shift the culture. Same client had an issue with a team meeting where there was some miscommunication on who was to follow up on who. And there was a comment from her boss to her that was, I guess we just need people who are more decisive. Now that hurt her feelings, and she felt again upset and annoyed and angry because her she didn't feel like she was able to clearly express the situation and what happened. Same situation. We formulated a talk that she could have with her boss just to get clear on things and to find a better way of communicating and passing on tasks in the future. Now, these look like very simple things, but these are the kind of things that are going to fine tune you to show up as someone of value on your team. And I want to also put a caveat here. The way you communicate at work obviously depends on the level of security and safety that that workplace has. And when we work one on one, we talk about that too. Okay, we talk about, just like I said earlier, how to be as wise as a serpent but harmless as a dove, how to be able to use your communication skills and your confidence to try to shift things, to appeal for things, and what to do even if people don't respond to your appeal. How do you respond to that? All of that we do in our work together. All right, so let's just recap. Emotional regulation isn't about suppression, it's about reconnecting with the wisdom of your emotions. Your emotions are signals. You can and you must use your emotions to guide you to require more of your surroundings. And just a reminder, we're going to be here again tomorrow, September 4th, September 5th, September 6th for this Well at Work series. If you are interested in working with me one-on-one, please look at the link below, bit.ly/30 minutes with Chereese, so I can share with you my one-on-one public speaking, communication, and confidence offers specifically for Black and Caribbean women in the workplace. I only have 6 spots for September, so grab it up. And I really hope that I can support you with stepping into more confidence, more clarity, and more peace at work. Thank you so much for being here with me. I will see you again tomorrow at 2 p.m. CST here on LinkedIn or on my YouTube page, Chereese La-Vonne, on both platforms. Peace and love. Hasta luego. I will see you sometime soon.